In the meantime, we also have Major General Sanjay joining us here on the broadcast. Sir, good afternoon. We are just awaiting. Mr. Arunachal Singh is also joining us here. We're just awaiting when it comes to the Raksha Mantri statement on the floor of the House. Important to note, as far as India is concerned, sir, coming out always being transparent and clear with the statement when it comes to the Indian Army and the government of India, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Firstly, as regards the statements by the Indian Army is concerned, obviously we cannot concede any...
Sir, interrupting you. All right, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, they're making an official statement on part of the government of India, exactly what happened and transpired on the 9th of December when these clashes that have been reported. Major General Meston, sir, apologies, sir, had to interrupt you. We were awaiting for the Raksha Mantri's official stand, sir. What do you make of it as the official stand has now been made by the government of India on the floor of the House, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. The Honorable Raksha Mantri has made the statement. I think his statement was short, crisp and factual. Everything has been exposed in no uncertain terms. Now, coming on to the issue as such, see his statement, one important aspect was the Chinese attempted to cross the LAC and change the status quo. That has always been the Chinese stance. In fact, they have been violating the 1993 Peace and Tranquility Agreement. Besides this, the 1996 confidence building measures also, they are not adhering to it, whereas the same Chinese, recently when we are doing the exercise with with the US in Oli, that is about 100 kilometers from the LAC, the Chinese then started quoting about these two protocols of 93 and 96. Who's been violating it every time? China, and they're trying to make India realize that we are violating. Firstly, in those protocols, there was nothing of this sort of no foreign army can be called there to do a joint exercise. That was absolutely baseless. Now, coming on to this issue, again, see, let's be very clear. There are certain factual issues. Factual issues are along the line of actual control. There are varying perceptions of the LAC. So Chinese do these activities basically to come to our side of the LAC, that is to their claim line, and so that tomorrow, whenever, if and when the border negotiations take place, so they will have a stance, yes, this is our area because our patrols used to come. This is their stated policy. Now, coming on to the Indian policy, what does the Indian Army do? Indian Army also to our claim line, we go exactly to our claim lines. No one has ever stopped us. And even if the Chinese stop us, we accomplish our aim. So we always talk about Chinese so-called incursions, but we never highlight the Indian Army. We are also doing exactly the same thing, going to our perceived area of LAC. And incidentally, I commanded my brigade in Nathula. The famous Doklam Plateau was there. Exactly, we used to do these so-called of activities. We used to go to their claim lines and, reflect that, yes, here it is, we are here. I was Colonel GS of the division that is in Leh Ladakh.
Right,
over
sir.
There also exactly same drills we followed, but every time whatever comes out is the Chinese activity. We should also talk about the Indian activity, that is we going to the LAC. So this is on ground situation. Now what has happened that the Chinese when they come and sometimes even, now let me tell you, a great advantage we have is all along the line of actual control, along the watershed in Arunachal Pradesh, the deployment of Indian Army is extremely heavy.
Right.
We are actually deployed physically. Therefore, if Chinese ever attempt to intrude into those areas to their claim lines, Indian Army immediately sees it and we immediately respond the way we have responded this time. Only thing is, we have never used weapons, neither the Chinese have used weapons, but this time, it is apparent that they had come prepared for this face-off to deliberately generate a face-off so that the situation escalates, and this is the strategy.
And
because
it was unprovoked, isn't it, Mr. Arunachal Singh, sir? Especially when it comes to what was more important was the pushback, the retreat of the Chinese soldiers there, and Indian troops with its bravery and valor and its preparedness and acting and timely intervention on part of the Indian military and the troops there, sir, pushed back successfully when it comes to the Chinese military. This is something as the Indian government, irrespective of what the Chinese state-affiliated media has to say, Indian Army and the government of India has made it clear and transparent exactly what happened on the 9th of December. Mr. Singh.
No, as Brad brought out, constantly contest takes place, line of actual control, because if anything is undefined and if you have different perceptions or varying perceptions, it will be contested. So there is nothing new about the contest. We contested. That is why, you were saying, so much it has generated so much news. But why this has generated so much news actually in our country, and I'm sorry to say, people have no understanding of the political side of the Chinese military. The the PLA soldiers are also part of the Communist Party of China, right? And there are people here in this country who leverage on the Chinese, the PLA to impact on the political discourse of the day. And this doesn't come, what has happened, actually I'm telling you, I swear that it doesn't come to me as a surprise. I was expecting this kind of a thing before the parliament session. Now, if you think that I'm talking out of my hat, anybody accuses me of that, please tell me, what is the content of that MOU Sonia Gandhi signed with the Communist Party of China?
I think, sir, the questions that you have been raising, Mr. Singh, is something exactly what is being said by the Union Home Minister. For our viewers joining in right now, and you may also want to hear from the Union Home Minister himself, in a way suggesting that this was a deliberate tactic on part of the opposition to stall the proceedings of the House just before the Raksha Mantri was to give an official statement. We'll play out his reaction, sir.
तो 5 नंबर का प्रश्न देखकर मैं इनकी चिंता समझ गया। 5 नंबर के प्रश्न है राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन के FCRA रजिस्ट्रेशन को रद्द करने के बारे में। अब उन्हीं के कांग्रेस के ही सदस्य के द्वारा ये प्रश्न पूछा गया और जवाब में बहुत स्पष्ट था। अगर तो मौका देते तो मैं सदन के पटल पर भी बताता कि राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन को 2005-6 और 6-7 के वित्तीय साल में चीनी दूतावास से 1,35,00,000 रुपए का अनुदान प्राप्त हुआ था। चूंकि FCRA के कानून और उसकी मर्यादाओं के अनुरूप नहीं था, तो नोटिस देकर पूर्णतया कानूनी प्रक्रिया का अनुपालना करते हुए गृह मंत्रालय ने इसका रजिस्ट्रेशन रद्द किया था।
Right. Mr. Singh, is this what you were talking about, sir? Because right when Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh was making his official statement and giving a briefing, there were constant interruptions, and right after that, the opposition parties walked out, staged a walkout.
No, I am speaking about even more serious thing. What happens from my side, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation can go into the Arabian Sea. I'm least bothered about that. I know about this case, but tell me, you or I, if we go and sign any kind of an agreement, say your Times now signs an agreement with the with some your Chinese media counterpart, aren't you obliged under the law of the land to tell the authorities, tell the country as to what are the contents of that? Now, what does that party-to-party understanding mean? And by the way, the same MOU that Sonia signed with, with the Chinese, the Jamaat-e-Islami during the same period signed it with the Communist Party of China. But we are a shameless country. Nobody will ask these questions. We are a subverted country. And Rahul Gandhi during that Doklam crisis, he was caught naked going into the Chinese embassy. Nobody has asked this country. If I was sitting in the parliament, I would have stalled the parliament. And with 300 members of the 300-400 on their side, they could have created a ruckus. That this gentleman must say that why he was going into the Chinese embassy like a thief during Doklam crisis. And this is not happening. This has been happening since 1947. But nobody talks about, the political side. When you have an ism in the West, that is jihad, and when you have ism on the other frontier, the Chinese frontier, there's bound to be proxy war. Because you are fighting isms. And here is the general sitting with me, is a friend of mine, if I may say so, that all over the world, wherever there are isms, and these isms have acquired nuclear capability, the proxy war starts in full steam. 66, the Chinese, tested their bomb, and then you have this Naxalite movement. When the Pakistanis acquired nuclear weapon, that is the time, proxy war, got its full impetus. Analyze what I am saying. We are a subverted country. I'm surprised that we have survived as a nation despite, these surreptitious meetings going on, Chinese embassy, Chinese embassy.
The point that you're raising, Mr. Arasan Singh, sir, when it comes to the Union Home Minister, he had also added to those points there, but we particularly played out that reaction where he's taking on the opposition, in particular with the Congress party there, because they tried to stall the proceedings of the parliament.